So, I'm starting to realize how genius the world of therapy really is. Besides putting you on a fucking couch and putting you like in front of a fucking fountain and changing the music, it's really kind of incredible actually. So today, I've been exploring the beauty of journaling and breath work. And now I finally understand why they're combined and used together. I don't think there is a better tool on planet Earth than journaling to discover what you're fucking terrible at. If you really want to really delve into all the things that you're not good at, I mean, it is an incredible mechanism for discovering inadequacies in your life. I don't think there's a better mechanism. I mean, really, it's endless. You could spend weeks, months, years exploring all the areas where you fell short in life, which now makes sense that they combine it with breath work, because every time you realize that area that you're not very good at, you're ready to have an anxiety attack, you got the breathing techniques to kind of keep things in place. It makes perfect sense. Anyway, if right now you're relying on music and a fountain and a fucking couch and some breath work and journaling, it is later than you think. How the fuck are you gonna feel better about the future unless you have real fucking tools? Listen, one of the biggest ones is communication, right? One of the biggest things that creates anxiety for people is knowing that, I mean, it all comes down to communication at the end, right? If there are certain situations you review from the past where you recognize you didn't have the skills, the techniques to handle that conversation better, that's what creates anxiety in the future. And no fucking fountain or music is gonna fix that. You need real tools you can use as far as your ability to feel great about your future communications. Does that make sense? And journaling is only gonna fucking aggravate you here as far as what you're missing. So, there are two things you need to feel better about the future. First one is this here. Unlike the attachment theory, there is something called the science of neuroplasticity. The science of neuroplasticity is the proven fact you can strengthen your brain like a fucking muscle. Here's the thing, if you're trying to YouTube and read and get from your counselor various communication techniques, you can't speak how you don't feel. You do need a way to address the emotional core so you can handle those challenging situations. Now, here's very important here. Unlike some of the videos you might be watching about just not caring what people think, that's never gonna fucking work. You are gonna care. If somebody you really love and care about tells you something you don't wanna hear, listen, I'm not a fucking robot. If somebody I care and love tells me something I don't wanna hear or criticize, I'm gonna fucking, my cage is gonna get rattled a little bit, but that's okay. You have to learn to be okay with that. A lot of also what, hinders people's progress is they put themselves under an expectation that really, quite frankly, is not possible. You are an emotional creature. Only robots don't get their cage rattled from time to time. What you can do is build an emotional strength or emotional endurance so that when you do get knocked down, that refractory period to get back to feeling good again can be built. Just like an athlete, for example. Even the greatest professional athletes still get tired. Even the greatest professional athletes still eventually have to sit on the bench and recover, right? But the best professional athletes can get off that fucking bench a lot quicker than you and I can. You absolutely can do what I'm talking physically. You can do that for your emotional strength. To the point where, I don't care who you are, if you actually had the right process, no matter what's going on in your life, I'm not saying you won't get knocked down at all. I'm not saying at the end of the day things should be hunky-dory either. But like either the male or female version of Captain fucking America, you can get your hand raised by the end of the day and say, damn, pretty fucking good considering. That is absolutely in the cards. And when you know you have that emotional strength, that will bring incredible confidence in your future. They'll go quite a bit beyond breath work or journaling or fucking fountains or a nice comfortable couch, okay? So the last thing you need is the actual communication itself, right? Knowing that you have the specific skills to handle those challenging communication challenges, knowing you have the specific skills to, and for lack of a phrase, almost kind of negotiate like how things are gonna be in the future. I mean, it is what it is, but I like analogies. There is a strong analogy to relationships and work and business, right? For example, dating really is kind of an interview process. You're interviewing them, they're interviewing you, you're testing each other, one of you wants a raise. I mean, that's really is what it is here. So if you really want to be great in the business world, if you really want to be great at those kind of negotiations, you probably want specific techniques to handle that. And of course, you do need the emotional strength to back it up. I like my analogies here. If you're an entry-level worker and your financial bank account is fucking empty, you're not gonna hold your own when you're going against your manager asking for a raise, because you're gonna be afraid because your financial bank account is a little empty. But as your bank account gets more and more full, you're more likely to hold your boundaries. Does it make sense? In the world of relationships, you have to think of your emotional bank, your emotional bound. Be able to hold your emotional boundaries, you need a strong emotional bank account. And the more strong it gets, the more filled it gets, the easier it is to hold to your boundaries. So the communication skills combined with the actual the emotional conditioning skills combined with the communication techniques, that's what makes you fucking powerful. A lot more powerful than any fountain your fucking therapist has. Remember, I'm here to get you off the counselor's couch and back in your life here. If you really want to address the challenges you're going through, you have to address it from a scientific standpoint. There is, again, something called the science of neuroplasticity. You can research it all you want here. That is a fact. You can strengthen your brain like a muscle. Just like in the gym, you can't lift 300 pounds if you've never lifted weights before. You'd have to build that muscle. Same thing here. I mean, again, anyone could do that. You've got 2 spotters lifting the weight. But if you recognize in your life you've been kind of falling short emotionally, falling on your face emotionally, if you really want to get back up quicker, you have to think of yourself like an athlete, a professional athlete in the sport of life. And that would require an emotional strengthening process. On that note, by the way, real self-worth is not externally dependent, it's internally built. If you really want to feel your worth emotionally, you would have to address it like if you wanted to feel your worth physically. If you want to really feel great about your physicality, what would you do? Would you talk to your counselor on the fucking couch? No, you go to the gym, you get a workout, you get an eating regimen, maybe get a personal trainer, which by the way would be amazing because then you're not doing it by yourself. If you really want to feel great emotionally, like you being you, you'd have to build those neurological networks associated with your ability to feel great regardless of who's in your life or not in your life. That again is not a fucking concept. On that note, by the way, I don't have a copy with it here, but I do have a book on Amazon called Refocus on Power, Out of Any Problem Earning Your Trust. If you want to get a real fucking glimpse of the way you're supposed to feel, that'd be a great start. Now, if you'd like to speak to me personally, we can absolutely do that here. But in the meantime, I'm just going to give you a common sense fucking corner stuff and common sense corner stuff to get you out of the couch and back into your life here. And at the very least, the one thing I can do, even if I'm not working with you directly here, is keep you from going the wrong fucking directions. Because the truth is, most people are essentially running east for a sunset. I don't care how fucking fast you are, you're running the wrong fucking direction. You want to run west to see that nice, beautiful sunset. In the world of relationships, you have to go about the right way. You need emotional strength. You need those communication skills. That's the bottom line here. Anyway, hope you enjoyed today's Common Sense Corner discussion, and we'll speak soon. Ciao for now.